I guess kind of the first thing he talks about is Taiji, which I personally don't have a ton of like firsthand experience with, but I have friends like Natalie, Nadine, who are involved in the Dolphin Project, who have gone to Taiji many times and shared information about the dolphin slaughters that happen there. And I've seen, so most of the footage that I saw in the documentary, I had already seen that footage, if not similar footage before. So the reality of it wasn't that different to me, but I did think they took like an interesting stance with like the whole pest control perspective.
Yeah, I knew about that because my professor in university is in fisheries. And so he talks about the nuance, not the nuance, annoying how dolphins can be with the fishing industry. And he very much, and he's very good at challenging very typical conservation beliefs. And we were talking about it, I think one day we were like walking back from a lab, and he brought up this whole thing about how dolphins really do cause an issue for a lot of fisheries, and that he akined it. He's like, I understand people are upset when people kill dolphins, but he points out that the same thing happens with land animals, where we will manage predators that we may be in competition with. And he kind of, and it is like that point at the end with the fisherman where he's like, it's a life. There is like the difference of cognitive ability that we do akin with cetaceans, which is why we tend to be more emotionally invested in their slaughters. But it really, technically, when you get down to it, a life is a life, and it should be considered, like, he thinks it should be like seen as equal. And if you're going to fight one, fight both, which there are people that fight both. But I think the energy is definitely very different. But overall, you can also argue, well, we don't need to be exploiting the fish to where we are in such direct competition with cetaceans to that degree.
So I definitely understand the perspective of the fishermen when it comes to that, because a lot of times, unless you have this sort of deeper understanding of how ecosystems work, as fishermen, what you're seeing is I'm catching fish, dolphin, shark, whatever it is taking fish off my line or out of my net or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're not seeing necessarily long-term effect. You're seeing that short-term, immediate
detriment
to your fish stock. So I can definitely understand the frustration building. I think it's unfortunate that and to your point, I agree in that we can't just treat one animal one way and not another, like we can't say, oh, well, you can't kill this animal, but this one's fine. Or, I think there's a little bit more nuance in all of that, which is hard to sort of rationalize and discuss, I guess. But I don't know. It's just a very, like, let's sort of bury this slaughter of the dolphins and the fact that we're taking some of them to put into captivity.
Yeah. Like, I do find it interesting they don't bring up the fact that they actually will sell the dolphin meat. They don't sell a lot of it from what I have seen.
It's not the big ticket item.
No, it's not. But some of the meat is sold on the market. And there has actually been a big push by a lot of higher up Japanese officials, again, with like the whaling. They don't talk about why they restart whaling. For some reason, some people in Japan want to bring back whaling because they think they should be more connected to their ancient roots of fishing, which I do think it's kind of where you dance the line of a culture and like a respectful way to whale. There is a way to do it right. I really think a lot of native cultures do it very sustainably, literally using the entire animal. That's where I don't like a broad stroke of everyone needs to be vegan. Killing all animals is wrong. But the Japanese, I think, kind of have they push this idea that they want to bring back the culture of eating whale.
But that's not really what it's about.
That's not really what it's about. And a lot of people in Japan really don't eat whale. There isn't a demand. It's not necessary, which is kind of why. And even people within Japan, there are people who do know about Taiji and don't like it and will be cove monitors and fight against. the whole industry. And I watched whale wars growing up,
Well,
so the whole Southern
you can't
Ocean.
point at an entire country and say everybody agrees that this is okay. That's just
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk about how a lot of it's pest control, some of it's captive.